What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a TwoPennyGames review, this time Concord. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
I'm here to talk about Concord.
Concord. Indeed.
Why do they call it that?
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Tavin.
Yeah.
For my part in this review, I didn't do my due diligence enough and go through the entire exploration chart that game provides.
Oh, how dare you. How dare you, Connor, not go through all the That's actually a pretty cool. Have you even opened it up?
Oh, yeah. It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
But there's just a lot. Oh.
It is a lot. It's a lot of text, too. We'll get into it. We're going to get into it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get into it. We have been playing Concord. This is, of course, your review for it. Remember, you can get this review live over at twitch.tv/TwoPennyGames. Monday afternoon is when we film all of our reviews and podcasts. For example, next week, we will be doing our retro review for the Two Penny Game Club for Banjo-Kazooie. So any Banjo-Kazooie fans out there, make sure you join us next week in our review for that. We're going to rank it amongst a bunch of other classic games such as Mario 64, Resident Evil, The Last of Us, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VII. It's a long list of games. We've reviewed them all, so please go check all of that out. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below about how you feel about Concord. Are you playing it? Are you not? Why or why not? And then, just give us your general thoughts on it down below. But Connor, let's wait no longer, my friend. Let's get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, Concord is a pretty dang good game. Now, on our review rating, Connor, good is a 7. It's a 7 out of 10, right? And I want to stress this. I'm giving it a 7 based off of an objective opinion that I have on the game. I'm putting a reviewer cap on and looking at the game in its totality. But how I feel about the game does not, I think, fully reflect the score of the game. I'm much higher on it than a 7 would have you believe. I think Concord is a lot of fun. I am excited to get back to Concord. I'm excited to play more Concord, right? But Concord has quite a few shortcomings, quite a few questionable decisions, and just some things that they are focusing way too hard on that I just don't care about. And because of that, I don't see how you could give it anything more than a 7, right? That's just where I'm landing on it when I put the objective cap on. So here we go. Connor, before I get into the whole spiel, right? Should I get into what because I really don't know with this game. I really don't know how I should approach this review. I've been thinking about it.
It's weird.
For days, right? It's a weird one, right? So should I focus on the things I like about it first? Or should I focus on these things that I don't dislike about it, but I'm just...
Go with the things.
It holds it back.
I think a lot of people kind of have highlighted, just at a first glance, the things that are bad and negative about it and pushes people away. So I go start with the good things.
Okay. I'm not afraid. I'm not mad about that at all. So I mean, I'll start. The thing that is truly great about Concord is its gameplay. Its core gameplay loop is so much fun. I can't get over how fun it is to shoot a gun, to throw an ability, to play an objective. It is just fun to play. It is an absolute blast. All of its characters are unique enough to have their own gameplay identity, and all of its characters at the same time are similar enough to where they don't feel like you're playing different games or that you... like, one is not completely alien from the other. I look to Overwatch like this, right? Mercy plays different than Soldier, who plays different than Reinhardt, who plays different than Roadhog, and they could all be from entirely different games, and you would have no idea they were from the same game just looking at them individually, right? Whereas Concord, yeah, they all look like they're in the same world. They all play like, you get it, the buttons are all the same, but their weapons are different enough. And they function in different ways enough to where they each have their own little flavor to it that I think actually gives them a great gameplay identity. And their abilities and their passives work in a lot of really great ways. And the best part about Concord, for me, in my opinion, is absolutely its crew bonus system. And this is something that I'm going to get into about also, they don't tutorialize well in this game at all. But it's crew bonus system. If you don't know, when you play as a character, you unlock a crew bonus for that character. Each character falls under a different class. I forget what they're called. Your DPS, your healers, your speedy characters, things like that. So each character is assigned one of 6 crew bonuses. This could be faster reload speed. This could be increased health on health pickup. This could be faster cooldowns. This could be longer range. This could be less recoil. I forget what the last
dodge
one is.
reduction. It lowers the amount of cooldown for the dodge.
Dodge cooldown reduction. Yes, thank you. And the way you get this, simply play as one of those characters, and you get it. It's a little passive. It's in the background. You don't have to really worry and think about that. The reason that's great, Connor, is it for players who are engaged in the systems and who are paying attention and looking to get a 1-up on their competitor. Pay attention to your crew bonuses. This makes it to where, they have the lineup of characters on the character select screen, much like an Overwatch thing, but you get to edit that lineup in any way you see fit and move characters around. There's a couple of restrictions on how you do it. You can't have 12 Linuxes in a row. You can only have 3 in the lineup and stuff like that. But you can build it out in a way to where you can organize the characters that you want to switch to, because as you switch to characters, you are gained these different crew bonuses. So, for example, one of my favorite characters is Duchess. Duchess uses an SMG. The SMG does not have a long range to it, and it's got wild recoil to it. And the reload is too long for my liking. So what do? I start with Daw, who gives me a faster reload. I switch to Hamar, who gives me longer range. And then I switch to Duchess, who gives me reduced recoil once I respawn again as Duchess, right? That system alone is genius, I think. It promotes switching between characters. It promotes having a diverse pool of characters that you play as, and it allows you as a competitive player to get a 1-up edge on the competition in ways that if they are not playing into this gameplay mechanic, they will lose fights.
And it's a very simple one, so it's not like there's a really barrier to entry from, more competitive gamers.
It's not like, oh, go get 3 kills with the character and you get it. No, just get it and then respawn. On your next respawn, you have it.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. And it's great. I genuinely think it's a very innovative idea to the hero shooter. Now, on top of that, the actual gunplay, how it feels to shoot guns, 16 different weapons in this game. Some character, or 16 different characters, all with different weapons. Some have 2 weapons to each, and I think they all feel great to play. They all work fantastically. They all have their own unique personality. No gun really feels the same as any other gun, and yet you feel like you can kind of get the job done with any of them, which is great. The abilities are creative and interesting, and they blend well with your passives. Like, I just really, really love playing Concord. I think it's a lot of fun. With that said, there's a lot holding this game back. Undeniably, there's just a lot holding this game back. And I wish I could say that my love for the gameplay was extended to all these other elements of the game, but it's just not. There is a huge focus on these big cinematic, highly produced cutscenes that they've got. They're going to put out a new cutscene every week for the first 8 weeks, something like that. I think this is a waste of time and resources. Those cutscenes are cool, but the characters are pretty generic, and they ape the Guardians of the Galaxy way too much, to the point to where, like, I just feel like I'm getting Walmart brand Guardians of the Galaxy across the board. I don't find these cutscenes interesting or entertaining, really at all. They're not funny. They're not heartfelt. They're boring. And as much as I would like to like the character of Concord, I don't. I think across the board, how Concord presents itself is pretty bland, pretty uninteresting, pretty forgettable. There's a lot of character names. I don't remember their names, and that's a problem. I shouldn't be forgetting character names of characters I'm actively using, and I just can't remember their names because they're so bland and uninteresting, That's a problem. The game modes that they have chosen to provide us with at launch don't seem really thought out that well. It's a lot of pretty generic game modes. Your team death matches, your kill confirms, your area controls, King of the Hill, and then like a search and destroy type game mode. None of these really feel like they've been tweaked or adjusted in any way to fit the gameplay that Concord is going for. So you just kind of end up thinking of the objective secondary and the gameplay as your primary thing of just, I'm going to run around and shoot and kill things, right?
And Phil had kind of mentioned it. The other guy who, he's sometimes here.
He's here sometimes, yeah.
He made a good point about how on the zone control mode, it kind of completely screws over one of the good parts of the game, which is a shifting roster of characters. It really just facilitates to do the one that holds down points the best and just run with that.
Yep.
And that's just a byproduct of them just going along with simple game modes. They have the kill confirmed, where you collect the dog tags, like you did in Call of Duty years ago. You know, your deathmatch, which is nice. Some of these need to be in the game.
I like that they're there. Games like Overwatch are missing them.
Yeah.
Even though, or Valorant are missing them, right? But like, you need something. Concord desperately needs a unique identity, and it doesn't have one. Excuse me. I think its gameplay is solid. It's rock solid. It is right there, right? It is a lot of fun to do. But what we are choosing to do with the gameplay is not fun to do. It's not fun to pick up the little trophy hunt tags. It's not fun to control zones. It's not fun to play search and destroy, even though they try and tweak it with limiting how many times you can play a certain character in those modes. I think that's smart design in that sense. What Concord desperately needs is a unique game mode original to them that is the landmark. This is why we chose to make this game mode. And they don't have one. And it's not something that can be patched in at launch. The ship has sailed on that. You didn't know why you wanted to make Concord, is how this feels to me. You wanted to make a hero shooter. You got a really talented staff to make it, and the gameplay loop is there. But there is nothing to separate yourself from the crowd, and in that sense, Concord is failing. On top of that, the cosmetics are dreadfully, dreadfully uninteresting. So uninteresting. And the path of progression is so basic. And I just can't care. I can't care about leveling up my different characters. I can't care about leveling up my overall level. Or I see these challenges that they're doing, the bunch of dailies and weeklies and all these things, and they all are well-constructed challenges. They make you play the game in different ways, which is fun. But for what purpose? The XP boosts that they're getting me, and they're giving me a lot of XP, which is great. I'm leveling up constantly, which does feel good. But for what purpose? So that my blue sniper rifle can be pink now? So that my blue coat can be white now? So that my red armor can be green now?
It's very uninspiring.
It's super uninspiring.
Each character, it seems, unless there's an exception, seem to have like a special look to them. But the problem is, and it's kind of connected to what you were just saying, the characters don't have sauce. They really just do not.
They don't.
There's like one that does, Jabali. And like,
Jabali, I like Baz. Baz has sauce.
I think. I hate her. She's like
really
perfect example of like, everything on her is extra and just doesn't work.
I think she looks cool.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I can't think that, especially more so with other characters as well. Like, there's the fungus guy. It's just like
he's a mushroom dude. Yeah. All right, cool.
Doesn't look badass. Doesn't look cool.
I mean, even in
like
that,
mushroom guy.
Compare Soldier 76 to Teo.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to play as?
Soldier 76.
Right.
Cool badass mask vigilante archetype.
Yeah.
Versus I'm soldier guy.
Yeah, and like
with an eye,
and not even a soldier guy. Bro looks like he's going paintballing. What are we doing? Daw is probably my favorite character in the game. It's the one I've logged the most time into. Whoa, this guy is generic as hell,
Holy
man.
Shit, yeah.
Just a big fluffy coat, and I'm like, all right, cool, whatever, Like, and again, like, there's no character that I'm like, ugh, I hate how they sound, Like, that was one of my complaints in the beta, is every time you died, you had to reselect a character, and that character said the same line of dialogue every single time. They've fixed that. Now you only hear the dialogue the first time you select the character.
Yeah.
which is much better. It feels like they are listening and they are trying. They added a training mode. It's pretty bare bones. They added time trials. Pretty bare bones. In a practice mode. Again, pretty bare bones. Like, it's all just like bare bones. Here you go. Right? The cosmetics is the big hang up for me, man. If they had landed on some really cool cosmetics, a bunch of different skins for the characters, not just color swaps, full on different skins. Let me make the character look way different. Give me something cool to look forward to that I can go and chase, right? If they had tightened up their progression systems in ways to where if I'm playing as a character, hey, let me unlock cosmetics for that character through the character levels, right? Instead, yeah, you are getting some cosmetics through character levels, but it just kind of feels like I'm getting random things for random characters at random times.
Yes. And you know, all of these things, when you contextualize it in the grander concept of live service games, there's just so many other ones you'd rather go to because there's a reason to keep on playing them.
For everything around the game. Yeah. Again, the gameplay itself, this is going to be one of my favorite games of the year. It just is. But the problem is that all the bells and whistles are there to keep me engaged for the game for longer. And I don't know how much longer I'm going to be playing Concord. Spoilers, Astrobot is around the corner. It's probably going to be about the time that I put Concord down. You know?
Yeah, and for me, Valve's new MOBA third-person that MOBA game, Deadlock, is finally, you know, people are allowed to share images and whatnot of it. I haven't dived into it yet. I have far more of a desire to do so, not because of the gameplay, but because, and the gameplay's fun, and compared to the problems we were just talking about with Concord, where it doesn't seem to have a really good vision for what it wants to do with these fun-to-play characters, Deadlock does. And, you know, it's a complex game as well, where there's lots of different like aspects of it. A new type of game that I'm going to be playing, or at least try to be playing, seeing if I get the bug bit. But they also look cooler as well. There's going to be more interesting cosmetics. There's probably going to be a higher rollout of characters because it seems like a game that you can do that easier at. Whereas with Concord, I feel like what we're going to have right now is it for a while. And with a game that's not getting a lot of players on it, how sustainable is that? I don't think
there are certain playlists where already the game queue to find a game, you know, I loaded up the rivalry playlist, which is like the search and destroy thing. I tried to do that solo. My game queue like went over 5 minutes before I was just like, fuck it, I'm done. Yeah. I'm just gonna go play something else at this point. So like, again, like I think Concord's getting a bad rap. I think this game deserves a player base, and it seems to have none. You know, we have reports that at launch, on launch day, which was on a Friday, their peak, all-time peak on Steam was 697 players. That's only on Steam. And then you go and you look at the PlayStation Network store, and Concord is the 37th best-selling game on the PSN. Not even top 20 from a first-party studio from PlayStation. That's upsetting. That's sad. That hurts to see. I think Concord is a really, really good game. I really, really like Concord. I think Concord is worth the $40 asking price, personally, as even right now, even with all the bare bones stuff going on in it. But undeniably, the people have spoken. The market has spoken. They're not interested in Concord, and I can't blame them for that. I think a lot of people shitted on Concord the minute it was announced, and they didn't give it a chance. Time of day, nothing, right? But
the videos we did on Concord had multiple comments that were like, "Woke go broke," so it's kind of gotten that crowd attached to it as well.
What is woke about this game, Connor? I don't understand.
It's two things. First of all, it's the use of pronouns. It points out that each character has them, which
Valorant does that, doesn't it?
Valorant? I don't think so. I don't remember seeing it.
There's non-binary characters in Valorant.
They might be. You might have to go to the
I'm thinking of. You know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of Apex. Apex does that. That's what Apex does. Yeah. But Apex is plenty popular.
See, that's the thing. It's mainly the character design.
I think
because there's this association with woke media as having bad character designs. Now the problem is, what is woke? It's by a lot of the people who bring that up a lot of the time don't know how to define it themselves. Mm-hmm. I don't really know. I kind of get the gist of it. It's kind of like just more left-leaning minded ideals. It does
end up being more left-leaning, but it's plain and simple. Just be aware of your political situation. Mm-hmm. Just be aware. Be wake up to the fact that there are people above you who control your everyday life, through governments and stuff like that. That's all it is.
But that's not really what woke is now.
No,
what your ideally is.
Yeah, it got co-opted by this red pill grifter online, bubble that has exploded over the last 10 years.
And admittedly, there's multiple pieces of media I've seen that are woke, left-leaning, that have shitty-ass character designs that kind of translate over to this. I see that, and I immediately think of those designs.
I don't think these character designs are bad. They're just boring, and just not memorable,
Yeah, I mean, I think that translates to bad, especially with a game where the characters themselves really matter. Zenless Zone Zero, that new big, Genshin-type game. Every single week on my timeline, I seem to see a new character from that game. I know it's not really doing that, but people talk about the character designs of those all the time. Now, admittedly, there's going for a certain angle with them, but being sexy. But even if you don't go that route, make your characters look cool, badass. They're, we're talking about basically space explorers here, and they look stupid as shit for the most part.
A lot of them look really stupid. They look,
with bad names.
Yeah.
That's the face of your game, and you didn't succeed. Like I said, it's overblown. The criticism of how this game is, but still,
the reach for Guardians of the Galaxy was a mistake.
Yes.
I don't know why they went that route, and it's with everything. I think the main menu, where they give you the big image of Concord, the title screen. That's what it's called, the title screen. I think the title screen is cool. I like the 80s retro-styled space aesthetic, but again, you're just aping what the MCU Guardians specifically were doing, and it's just not working here.
And people have even gotten tired of when Marvel does it.
Yeah,
when they do it right.
I almost feel like it would have been better if they didn't do any of that at all. If they didn't do any of the cutscene shit. If they just, here's the game, you're playing it. Maybe $40 is a little steep. 25, 30. I think would have been fine as well, and here you go. Hey, you get a beta this weekend, whatever. But instead, they try to market it to the PlayStation audience, which is mostly single player gamers who are known for God of War and Last of Us and Horizon and Ghost of Tsushima. And they said, hey, no, there's still story here. There's still things you can sink your teeth into. And I think they shot themselves in the foot with that. I think they should have just put out a great multiplayer game, and devoted less time to writing out these great cutscenes and stuff, given the characters more actual dialogue lines in-game. You'll notice it's been a big complaint that I've seen, and I agree with this one. The characters don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
They live in their own siloed thing. They say their one character line when you select them, and then they'll say something when they spawn sometimes, or when they get a kill streak going or something. They'll be like, haha, I'm the best, that type thing. But it's all generic and boring. They don't interact with each other at all. I don't understand. I understand we don't have the waiting rooms like Overwatch does, where you're setting things up and characters are talking to each other while they're waiting and the other team is setting up to defend and stuff. Put a little 5-second counter at the beginning after you select the characters, and then the characters will talk to each other in the little 5 seconds, like how Call of Duty does it when you select your loadout class, type stuff like that.
It adds character, and this is lacking.
Just give us these little bit of moments of life that would these little things that would have pushed Concord so much further, and we didn't do it, or we didn't do it right.
And they went the wrong route with how the game visually looks. You didn't need to go for the really realistic looking, high fidelity graphics.
If anything, you should have gone completely left and made it super cartoony or super animated,
stylized in some way that's fun.
Yeah, right.
Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals is
that's a great example.
Comic book characters in these video game in a hero shooter.
Hi-Fi Rush,
yes,
or something like that. Or shoot, man. It's not like Valorant is the most graphically demanding video game on the market, and yet it remains one of the highest selling first-person shooters out there. And it just came, or not highest selling because it's free to play, but it just came to PlayStation, and I'm certain more people are downloading Valorant right now on their PlayStation than they are Concord, and that's a problem.
By far, yeah.
That's a problem. If I were PlayStation and I was publishing, because you can choose to do this as PlayStation, I would have said, Valorant, you got to wait till November, bitch, because we've got this game we got to get off the ground.
And I guess we're bringing up Valorant. Valorant occupies a space where it's like a Counter-Strike clone mixed with elements of a hero shooter with the abilities that you have.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do as much to separate itself from those roots and create its own fun gameplay identity, whereas Concord does. But all of those reasons we just stated before, when you don't look as good, you don't have as much style, those things don't matter as much.
You don't capture the imagination.
Yeah.
You don't feel creative. You are creative. Clearly you are, because of how the gameplay feels and how all of these damn near every character feels great to play. There's 2 characters I don't like. Out of 16, there's 2 I don't like to play. That's good design. Like, mechanically, this game, sound. But you didn't have a unique game mode that gave yourself an identity. You don't have interesting characters, even though you're trying your hardest to make them seem interesting. You're playing too interesting instead of being interesting. This is the thing we talk about in the arts and stuff like that. You're playing cool. You're not being cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know. It just would have required more, or just don't do it. You know, Valorant guys don't really talk. You know, so like they've got 1-2 lines, right? Or 3-4 lines or whatever, right? And then they shut the fuck up.
That was one of the things about that game where they were just like, I don't care about any of the lore stuff or whatever's going on. Fuck it, you know.
And then you have that galactic map with the lore breakdowns of all these planets and trade routes and characters and things and governments. All of this time spent writing all of this great information in a UI design that's brilliant. It looks great. It's really fun to zoop around the different planets. I'm not reading the information because I'm here to play a video game. But it's really nice to zoop around and do all these things. Again, you're trying to reach to your PlayStation audience when you could have garnered a organic audience in the multiplayer branch of your games, like Helldivers 2 just did, and developed yourself a player base that cares about your game. But instead, you tried to appeal to the gamers who only play the God of Wars and only play the Ghost of Tsushimas. And that's not going to work here. It just, you have to rev up a new fan base amongst your fan base, type thing. So I don't, because it's not like we're short on single player action games. Like, spoilers, guys, we're going to get a Horizon 3. Like, there's going to be, Santa Monica Studios is coming with something. Wolverine is a year or 2 out, right? Like, we're gonna keep getting these games. So it's not like we're like, oh, because we got Concord, we don't get the next Spider-Man game. No, we're getting the next Spider-Man game. Everybody relax. It would have been nice to have been like, as a PlayStation gamer, being like, hey, you guys should come over to the PlayStation side. We have these great, groundbreaking, innovative single-player games, but on top of that, we have some really fun multiplayer things too, like Helldivers and Concord. But now, we got Helldivers. Yeah. You know?
Carrying a lot of weight.
It's carrying a lot of weight. And unfortunately, The Last of Us multiplayer didn't make it to market, and Concord was dead on arrival, even though I don't think it's not fair to Concord or that dev team. Firewalk Studios did a damn good job in crafting a video game here. It's just all the bells and whistles that they felt they needed to do actually worked against them.
Yeah. Sad. I hope it comes back in some way. You know, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but it doesn't seem likely.
We talk all the time on the Gamescast of, like, there are quotes from different studio heads and different developers who say, yo, part of the reason the live service thing is failing is because these big AAA publishers aren't giving them time to find their own identity. So Concord can still work. Concord can still find success if PlayStation is willing to support it and keep it alive long enough to where the devs can figure out what the player base wants from Concord.
I think one of the elements that I think is going to be inevitable is free-to-play. I don't think at this current rate you're going to be able to sustain yourself with the price tag. It's worth it, but not to most people.
It's worth the asking price, yes. Yeah, just off of the package you have. I don't blame that perspective. But then you immediately have to start doing things like season passes and microtransactions. Yeah. And this game has made the choice to avoid those things. And I like that personally. Me is my own personal tastes like that. So can we find a middle ground? A couple free-to-play weekends? You know, maybe once a month we drop a free-to-play weekend for Concord. Hey, come jump in, all your buddies. Hey, you having a great time? All right.
Seems better than just going directly to free-to-play. But I still think even if those don't work, they're going to still say, we got to do something. The only other thing on the table is free to play.
Yeah, well, then you have the problem. It's the double-edged sword of like, all right, we've gone free to play. Now there's this, maybe 2,000 player base who went and actually bought the game. What do we do for them? To me, it's only 2,000 players.
Yeah.
So, just give them a season pass for free,
exactly.
And then they can live in that ecosystem where it all works out.
Do that, like if season passes are going to be $20, make the first 2 season passes free.
That works
for those
too.
people.
Yeah, that works too. Something like that. I don't know.
That's the hopeful route. We'll see how it goes.
I think more than anything, they need to find a new game mode. They need to find a game mode that is fun, that is unique, and that gives Concord some kind of identity that feels organic.
They just need one. Right now, at least.
That's all. It's all they need. We were talking last night when we were playing. This is not the solution, right?
No.
Not what I was just saying. But we were playing, and I was like, kind of wish there was a payload mode here. Just so that like we could have a different type of thing. Now, I think payload modes are a little overblown now. Overwatch did it so well, and then Marvel Rivals is doing it.
Yeah.
So like it's not like a mandatory thing, but Concord needs to figure out a unique game mode that can attract people to it and go, oh, dude, yeah, okay, yeah, the team deathmatch is fun, yeah, sure,
yeah.
But this is where it's at. We gotta jump in and play this with me. As of right now, hey man, you want to play a cool team deathmatch hero shooter? I mean, I guess. Like, is it free? No, I'm cool. There's free options that do everything this does. But has its own. It's not even that they do it better. They just have an identity that we can latch onto and care about. It's not about the quality of the game. It's about the identity of it. And it's just Concord screams generic. And that sucks because the mechanics are fantastic. I'm going to keep pushing that as hard as I can. Guys, if you're even slightly interested, give it a shot. It's worth the $40. It is fun. But I understand.
It's made from the Destiny people. You like Destiny? I know a lot of you do. You might like this as well.
In some ways, I like it better than Destiny gunplay. In some ways.
That's really because of like the abilities.
Yeah.
Constant use of them.
Yeah.
Are better.
Whereas Destiny is like purple grenade. So yeah.
So it goes for now.
That's a shame. Concord is going down as one of my favorite games of the year. I'm going to have nothing but fond memories of Concord, but I don't foresee Concord living a full calendar year before getting shut down. Now, I do think PlayStation should commit and continue to give Firewalk resources in order to somehow get this game moving and rolling, because guess what? Because Concord didn't work, we're not going to want any other PlayStation Studios live service game. You've struck gold with Helldivers. Focus on Helldivers. Get Concord working. Stick to these two. And then Marathon is coming.
And if it's not going well, just kind of abandon Concord and make them make new games. Because they have talent. They're good.
Don't punish the studio.
No. They clearly can make you an amazing game. Just, this is one that, if it was in development for 8 years, was just a product of its time that grew outdated during the development process.
It feels like a game from 2015, 16.
Yeah.
It feels that way.
With better graphics.
Cool.
Yeah.
It didn't need better graphics. I don't know why they went that way. Anyways. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for your Two Penny Games cast review of Concord. Let us know down in the comments below. Are you playing Concord? Are you interested in Concord? Why or why not? And then let us know what can Concord do to get your attention if it does not have it currently. But until next time, have a great time. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us all on our social medias and on our audio podcast platforms. We are on all of the mainstream ones. So, open up to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Look up Two Penny Games. We're there. Two Penny Games cast. I think we're there on that. But yeah, make sure you subscribe and follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/2pennygames. Until next time, have a great time. Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Bye.